Welcome to another Friday assignment review video. So this week's assignment was Credit Crush, and the main idea, the main thing I'm looking for when I grade your assignment this week is the before and after. So here we have an example of a before and after, and we'll dive in a little bit more and take a look at what goes into this before and after. But most of you, those of you who have already done the assignment, you really are doing great. You get it. You see the power of the debt payment strategy that we're using in this assignment. And that is the goal of the assignment. The goal was to show you how to become 100% debt-free and save a lot of time and money in the process. So that's really what we're doing. We're taking one simple debt payment strategy, which is paying off the highest interest loan first. And so I asked you, your assignment last week was to create a mortgage, a car payment, and a credit card loan. So we'll jump into a couple of assignments, a couple of plans, and I'll unpack how it worked. And so I wanted to first just take a look at this, what I call a $61 million mystery. So when I'm reviewing the assignments, I'm looking for the before and after, and I'm really looking to see what you learned and if you thought through the process and it made sense. And for most of you, you've done a great job. You've done a great job in communicating what you learned in this assignment, which is really, for me, where the rubber meets the road. So the pictures just tell me that you did the work in your planning portal to get to the point where you could see what difference it made. So when I looked at this, I thought, now how in the world are we saving $61 million? And so the student did the assignment great, and this was just an odd result, and I want to show you why. So let me jump over into this particular plan, and let's just look at the profile. So you can see this is Katie, thank you. So Katie has a credit card. She's got a $15,000 balance of 14% interest. That's pretty reasonable. The $100 payment and the minimum payment, that's probably a little bit low. But that's great for this assignment because it makes the point. And I really want to highlight and stress this. You know, I asked you to create a credit card, a pretend credit card, go on a spending spree. Because what I wanted to do, I wanted to illustrate how each of these different types of debt, and with pretty normal interest rates and minimum payments, how they can really hurt you in the long run. So this plan does that exceptionally well, maybe a little too well, but nonetheless, we're going to use it as an example. So in this plan, we have a mortgage of $312,000 with a monthly payment of $1,125, an interest rate of 4%. Those are all just fine. A loan term of 30 years. So this is all good with the right balance, same balance as the original amount. So let me just pause and say one of the things that I saw, and I've tried to comment when I'm grading your assignments. If you have a mortgage, like in this case for $312,000, but then you change the balance down here to say $50,000, which would be great if it were your actual mortgage. Obviously, you want to pay that balance down. But for this assignment, to illustrate what we're trying to illustrate, it's gonna really not show you the right kind of wow. So in this assignment, you were supposed to have a lot of debt on your mortgage, on your car, and on your credit card. So if you didn't have that, if you missed that memo, you may get a few points knocked off because you're not going to get the benefit of understanding how this strategy works. So just pay attention to that. I've looked at some with no balance or a very small balance, or you're paying a high payment. Well, if you start out with a super high payment or a really high payment, it's just not going to show you the benefit when you apply the strategy, and that is the purpose of this assignment, is to show you the impact of this strategy. So just trust me, for this week we can go back to a normal plan where you get to use your own judgment and apply your own strategy with real numbers. But in this assignment we're making a few things up for the purpose of illustrating the strategy. So let's go back over into the dashboard and let's go to debt and let's watch what happens. So here we have everything is set up with no strategy applied. We're going to pay the same priority for all the debt. So this is the payments that we set up with the loans that we just looked at. And so if we keep them all the same, Katie's paying $2,300 a month. That's her current monthly payment for all of her debt. And so that is the same proposed amount because we haven't applied any strategies. So let's see what happens. Well, before we do, let's go see, here are the payments. And we've got this college card, which has really got a terribly low balance. And it's going to be paid off. So we've got a credit card with a $100 payment, $15,000 balance, 14% interest. We've got a mortgage, actually 2 mortgages. One of those should have been deleted, and I might do that. Anyway, so this mortgage, 4% with that payment. Proposed payment over here, I'm not sure why that's showing a proposed payment already. Let's see here. Okay, so let's go to highest interest. This is the strategy. We're going to pay the highest to the lowest interest rate. Hit refresh, and that's where the $61 million mystery came in. So what happened? Let's just take a look. And this is, again, no problem. This was not a deduction. It just, Katie did exactly what the assignment was designed to do. But it is a little odd that that number is so ridiculously high. So I just want to show you. I had to jump in here to figure this out. So let's just unpack it. This should help you, if you haven't done the assignment yet, it help you understand what you're actually trying to figure out in this assignment. And also it'll give you a little understanding of what I'm looking for. So the strategy is, again, to pay the highest interest to the lowest interest. So if we jump into payment, we see that the payments, the current payment that was built in when you added these loans, they've changed. So the $570 on the car loan is the new number. Instead of $600, it went down. So then we've got the mortgage. It actually went up a little bit, and the credit card went from $100 to $244. So that was a pretty big difference. So let's look at the details. So you can see in the details, you can select which debt we're talking about. So let's look at the car loan, and you can see this is with the strategy applied. You can see how under annual, you can see how long it takes to pay each of these off. You can see the balance going down on each one. The credit card is the same way because we've applied the strategy. But let's go back and let's not apply the strategy. Let's take it back to where we started, and that goes to 0. Now watch what happens when we look at the details, especially on this credit card, because this is the $61 million mystery. This is where it's coming from. So in this case, we're paying the $100 minimum on the credit card with a $15,000 balance and a 14% interest rate. So just like we did in the assignment where I showed you Billy's credit card, remember when he bought the tires at Firestone and he paid the minimum, that's what we're looking at here, except it's kind of on steroids. But that's really what it is. If you look at the balance, you see it goes up, 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 and it keeps going up. And when I scroll down the page, it goes all the way up to, guess how much? $61 million, and it's still not paid off. So that is a dangerous type of loan, and that's what I really want you to understand and avoid in your own life, in reality. So you can just see the interest on top of the interest is going up, 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 and it's exponential at some point. So yes, this may be in fact, this would be an unusual and unlikely scenario, because no creditor is going to let you pay only $100 on that much loan with that high of an interest, with that kind of balance growing out of control. But nonetheless, it makes a great illustration. So, and that's the whole point here. So again, if we looked at the details for each of the others, they're pretty normal. You're going to save some time on the mortgage, which is what happened. But the bottom line is, no matter what your situation is, this strategy of paying the highest to the lowest interest rate is typically the best way to get the most savings, both in terms of money and time. If your goal is to become debt-free, which I would encourage you to make that your goal, this strategy is the way to do it. And this tool, this assignment, Credit Crush, really gives you a good understanding of how it works so that you can apply the strategy to your loans specifically and see how it will work. So hope that helps. That's pretty much it for the review. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, so these are just some screenshots of yours that basically show what I just showed, but without the $61 million mystery. These are more normal, and these are probably what you're seeing in your plan. One thing I do want to say though here is, so on almost all of the assignments, very few of you took that extra step, which was one of the assignment elements, is to take what we just did and apply the strategy to your loans, but then go above and beyond that by changing your proposed additional monthly payment. So let me just jump back into Katie's plan, and just let's see what happens if instead of $2308, we have a $61 million benefit there, 605 months sooner to debt-free. But what happens if we just added $1,000? I'm curious. Instead of $2,300 a month, we pay $3,300. Going to hit refresh and see what happens. So we get a few months knocked off. But that's something I think you guys should give a try, is just, not just for this week's assignment, but for your own benefit as you start to look at your student loans and credit cards, any debt that you have. Take a look at what happens if you add additional money, because remember, in this strategy, in this assignment, for the most part, we kept the payment, the monthly payments, the same, and there was tremendous benefit there. But if you want to become aggressive because you want to have more money to invest and save, once you have a clear goal, like for example retirement, if you decide you want to retire at age 50 versus age 65, debt is one of the things you can manage to help you do that. And so if you carry debt and you're paying the interest, it's giving you less money each month to invest. So we're going to be jumping into investments pretty soon, and now we're pretty much wrapping up our work on credit and debt. And I hope this week's Friday review was helpful. Most of you didn't really need a review, but for those of you who haven't done the assignment yet, I hope this video helps you understand what I'm looking for, but more importantly, understand what it is you're doing with this strategy and this assignment. Credit Crush, it's one of my new favorite assignments, and that's because you guys have done a great job doing the assignment and telling me what you learned. So another little final note, for those of you who forgot to tell me what you learned, you will get a deduction on that. And for those of you who forgot to include the quiz, you will get a significant deduction for that. If you're having trouble logging into your portal at Money Study Group, you may need to re-register. I wouldn't waste any more time. I would re-register. Yeah, you're going to have to click through the assignments, and you're even going to have to take the quizzes again, but you can do that very quickly. They're not difficult, and you're going to need to have access to your portal in the weeks ahead. So not just your planning portal, but your training portal at Money Study Group. So if I got a lot of, not a lot, I got about 4 comments from students who said they could not log in, and I think we've identified the problem, and that is that somehow your account, your registration was it's no longer active. So you just need to re-register. So go ahead and do that. If you haven't, if you're having that problem, you're welcome to send me an email. I will need you to tell me that you re-registered, because if you've already paid for Money Study Group, I will re-enroll you. My team will add you back into the course, and we'll have to do that. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but for those of you, the few that have had that problem, that's the solution, is re-register. So anyway, we'll see you next time. See you Tuesday in our Zoom meeting. Have a great weekend, and good luck on your assignment.